Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be focusing on this task 2 question. And it comes from Cambridge 6. Before we get started, I just wanted to apologize for not having uploaded videos by now because I've been pretty wrapped up in some other stuff. So I hope you understand. But hopefully, as of today, we're gonna spend a lot more time on writing, and I'm going to make more of these videos because I feel like this series of videos has been pretty useful to some students. So this way, you get to see how a band 7 like a band 7 writer would approach any task at hand. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, we have task 2. Now, what I usually do in task 2 is plan ahead, right? Like, unlike task 1, right? Where, of course, I also need to plan. But for the most part, in task 2, I will have to do it, um, you know, I think, yeah, I will have to do it more extensively. Now, let's first read the question and highlight some keywords. Now, today, the high sales of popular consumer goods, okay, goods, reflect the power of advertising, right, and not the real needs of the society in which they're sold, right? To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now, before we get started, I just want you to take a few minutes and then try to understand what the task is asking you, because this is usually what happens when you get a band 6 or lower for your writing, because you haven't pondered the question enough, right? So you haven't actually thought it through. You don't even understand the question, right? So that can be a problem. And we have a very high level language right here, right? So I guess it's, in our best interest to try to digest what the question is trying to convey, right? So that we will be writing, you know, in a more relevant way, right? We'll be answering all the questions, which is actually one of the, you know, hearts of the band descriptors, right? Okay, so what does this, task want to convey? Well, I'm guessing the high sales of popular consumer goods reflect the power of advertising. That particular bit means people are buying consumer goods, right? People are increasingly buying these goods because of advertising and not because they need them, right? So you see, this is a simplified version. You see how easy it becomes when you understand the task and take a few moments to read it and then try to, ponder it. I guess that's good practice. And also, this will probably help you paraphrase better. Now, with agree disagree questions, you have like 3 ways, I guess. I guess maybe like 2 ways of answering the question. The first option is either agree fully, right, or disagree. And the second option is only agree or disagree. So, you're both, with option number 1, you can first talk about those who disagree with that, right? And if your position is that you agree with it, right? And then you can write about your position in your second body paragraph because that's the most logical way there is. Now, with the second option, if you agree, right, then you only have to, talk about, you just have to expand and develop your argument. You cannot talk about the other side, right? You cannot acknowledge the other side, right? So that, these 2 ways are both like eligible to score a 9, according to Paul and Cullen, who's actually one of the pioneers of IELTS, right? So she said in her book that it's possible to score a 9 if managed well with, both of these ways, if managed well. But with this one, with the first one, it may be, not this one. With the second one, when you only agree, right, or disagree, you may not get a band 9 because, in a way, it will feel like you're not answering the whole, the question fully. But it's okay to, to like fully disagree and agree or agree if you want to score 7 because I did, right? I approached the task uh, in this way, right? And I only disagreed, and then I ended up scoring a 7, which is actually pretty good, right? For writing. Now, however, if your goal is to score 9 or something, well, you see, my recommendation is that you only agree or disagree, right? If your level, right, especially if your level is upper intermediate, right, or if you're stuck at 6 or 6.5, because, you know, since we are non-native speakers, it's kind of hard to keep our position in balance, and then we may end up going off on tangents, right? Like several times, right? Now, let's keep going. Okay, so what I usually do is first I ponder the question and then I plan, right? So without planning, your writing is a complete nonsense, right? Because you know, imagine there is a map, right? Like, and there's not a map. Let's just say you're in a city, in a big city. You haven't actually been there before. Do you think you can just, um, predict what places to visit, right, without having a map? Of course, no, right? But what you have to do is just find a map, right? So that's the same thing, right? I guess that was the correct analogy. Now, that's why we have to create our own map, and that's going to be our plan, right? So here is a good way to plan your essay. The first thing that you have to do is, what is the general topic, right? General topic here. What is it? I guess it's advertising, right? Or like yeah, I guess that's it, right? Or sales, right? Now, specific topic, right? Or specific topic, right? Or focus. What's the focus? Well, like who are we focused on this task? Well, people, right? Like the general public, right? Now, like what is the question asking you? Like how many parts are there? How many parts are there? What is this question is really important because you know, this is what matters the most because the band descriptors makes it clear you have to cover all parts of the question if you want to score 6 or above, right? So there are two parts, right? Two parts, agree, right? Or disagree. Now we're gonna quickly like jump to the body paragraphs, right? Now this was our introduction, so to speak. Introduction. Okay, next up we have body paragraphs, but before we move on to body paragraphs, we first need to decide our position, right? And I don't think like it's actually like it matters. Like first, let's talk about the agree point, right? So why you may agree, right, with this? Do you think now? Ask yourself, like, we're now in the process of brainstorming and organizing your ideas, and before that, I think we have generating ideas, right? Now we're trying to generate ideas. Okay, so why do you agree that people are buying buying consumer goods not because they need, but because they advertise? Um, well, I guess this is because of of the ubiquity of technology, right? Like that means like technology is everywhere. Like, okay, so what does it mean? Like, what does it have to do with advertising? Well, on social networks, right? For example, there are, uh, you know, s- there are a lot of ads, right? So don't worry about like planning and making mistakes at this point, right? We can work on that. On social media, there are a lot of ads. So, well, if there are a lot of ads, people are just going to be enticed into um, you know, checking that ad. Eventually, eventually, buying that stuff. I don't think like stuff, buying that product, right? So yeah, that's the first reason. Ubiquity of technology on social networks. Um, well, that's one reason, right? We can keep it at like keep it like this. I guess like th that should do. We can work more on that. Okay, so why would you disagree with that? Now, based on how strong your positions are, right, for both of these parts, you'll decide which one you want to go with. So I'm going to show that later on. Now, why would you disagree? Like, why you think that like people are not doing like, advertising, but they need it? Um, well, disagree. Well, first, like I may have an idea for agree. Um, I guess this has to do with impulse, right? Um, People cannot resist when they see a shining, like, not the shiny, but when they see an enticing ad of a, um, let's just say like of a fast food outlet. So they're gonna become a client and everything. So why would you disagree? Well, I'm guessing our agree point sounds more strong, right? Sounds stronger, which is why I think we're gonna go with agree. And why would anybody agree? Or if not, we can just go with agree, right? If you cannot think of any ideas. Okay, I'm just trying to think of the right idea. So by the way, guys, this is totally on the spot, right? I haven't really prepared at all. Now, like, why would a person, okay, why you disagree? Why do you disagree that at like high sales of popular consumer goods reflect the power of advertising, not the real needs of the society in which they're sold? I don't agree with this because um, okay, let me think. Take your time, right? You don't have to rush into anything. You don't want to make mistakes, right? Uh, okay, just trying to think. Well, you see, there's an interesting like brainstorming activity that you can uh, do on your own. Like maybe I'll try that. Like that's called coffee shop method. I learned this from Chris Bell, who's actually one of the greatest instructors that I've known. Okay, so he says that imagine that you are in a cafe or some anywhere that you can feel comfortable, and just imagine you're talking to a friend and try to you know, try to get him to answer your question in your imagination, right? So like this. Okay, so why, like, you ask your friend for the advice, and he will say, okay, I disagree with this because needs of the society. People don't buy anything unless they actually need it, right? Uh, Maybe that's the thing. Well, again, there's no any strong argument. In the real exam, I would probably not write about the other side, right? So I guess we're good to go. We can start writing. Now, how about conclusion? Well, in the conclusion, you're just gonna summarize your main points presented in the body paragraphs. And as you can see, like I presented two ideas, which means that I can talk about that, about this in one body paragraph and this one in the second body paragraph. Now summarize, then you give your position, like whether you agree or disagree, right? And probably future recommendation or something like that. That's actually optional, but you don't need it. Okay, now I'm just gonna split this into two so that I can, have, keep an eye on my plan as I write. Right now, let's get started. So you don't want to focus too much on your introduction. You don't want to spend, too much time, right, on your introduction. Now, what we're going to do, like write really, really like fast. Okay, it is believed believed that um, people these days buy certain products, not because they need them, but because uh, but okay, so I guess that was way too informal. It's believed that people these days buy certain products uh, not because they need them, but but because of the impact of advertising, or let's just say because of different adverts. Um, adverts. Although this, okay, now I just want to agree, right? Just want to agree. In fact, right, I believe that, uh, in fact, I also think that um, advertising is responsible. Well, I guess that's not the right word. Advertising uh, is okay. So just let me make it a little bigger. I think that advertising is the advertising that that the okay. So in fact, I also think that advertising is. And by the way, don't really get too caught up in perfecting your language. You know, while you're writing, you'll have 5 minutes left on the, at the end to check your work, right? I also think that advertising um, is responsible. Let's just stick to that. We might change it, like I said. Advertising is responsible for this trend for uh, for two for several reasons, let's just say. Okay, that's it. That's like, 34 words. That's enough. Now we're gonna start our first, introduction. Sorry, first body paragraph. Firstly, um, firstly, people buy, well, let's just say purchase consumer goods, um, such as. Oh, I don't think like we need an example like from right from the start, right? People purchase consumer goods, um, or people increasingly purchase consumer goods thanks to the efficiency of today's ads. No. I don't think that. Thanks to the uh, we purchase consumer goods uh, through okay, people increasingly consumer goods through ad, ad advertising. Okay, I guess we need to just the primary reason why people now purchase increasingly in, now increasingly purchase consumer goods uh, with the help of advertising is that is the ubiquity of technology. Of technology. In other words, um, there is everyone, right? Almost everyone in the world um, has their mobile phones or smartphones, let's just say, at their disposal to that allows them to uh, use any social networking app they they want. It's common knowledge that these apps are um, are filled um, with enticing ads that 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 appear constantly, even if the users want. Okay, so constantly, whether the users want this or not. This so this presence, let's just say this uh, continuous presence of different advertising adverts um, okay, eventually, well, let's just say grabs the attention of the of 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 people, eventually uh, prompting them to buy their products, right? This all happens without the consciousness, okay, or without the users, or without the potential buyers, right? This all happens without the potential buyer's uh, consciousness, because these ads are too uh, too good to be um, ignored, or too let's just say they're too uh, prominent prominent to be ignored. Okay, I think that's it. We're done with like body one. Now let's move on to body two. Okay, another reason has to do with uh, with people's own personality. Everyone it tends to have an impulse to buy let's just say, okay, everyone tends to buy a product of their choice Uh, Everyone tends to have an impulse to buy a product of their choice. Okay, everyone tends to have a an impulse to buy a product of their choice because this is ingrained in their personality, in their personality. This suggests that they usually cannot resist an ad that meets their um, or that satisfies their uh, need to fulfill this impulse. Okay. When they see it enticing. Okay, so cannot resist. Okay, and enticing. So because this is ingrained in their personality. For example, they may have. For example, people may have for example, workers, or let's just say okay, full-time workers. Usually, okay, I don't think that's a good example. So in their personality, for example, I tend to buy many electronical, many, let's just say, devices or accessories, just because I am um, I crave for them, not necessarily I need them. Many accessories, such as a Bluetooth, Bluetooth, Bluetooth. Uh, Environment would suggest a pair of Bluetooth headphones that I never use. Headphones that I never use. Tend to buy many accessories such as a pair of Bluetooth headphones that I never use. Just because I crave for them, not necessarily because I need them. This suggests that they usually that uh, people usually cannot resist an advertisement that satisfies their need to fulfill their craving. Okay, I guess that's about it. Now, how many words? Okay, 214. That's a little too. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna add a conclusion, or I could add one here as well. Thus, right now, well, thus, um, this all happens without the potential buyer's consciousness because these ads are too prominent to ignore. Thus, it is it stands to reason that um, advertising or marketing can have a powerful impact on or effect on people's or on the uh, customers' okay minds. Okay, the need to fulfill. Okay, another reason has to do with people's own personality. Everyone tends to have an impulse to buy a product of their choice because this is ingrained in your personality. For example, I tend to buy many accessories. There's a pair of Bluetooth headphones that I never use just because I crave for them. I think simply would be better, certainly because simply uh, because I crave for them, not necessarily because I need them. This suggests that people usually cannot resist an advertisement that satisfies their need to fulfill their craving. I guess that's about it. In conclusion, although people, although okay, shopping does not occur unless a person needs uh, needs okay that's way too fancy. In conclusion, although necessity plays a role in the popularity of certain consumer goods among people, I guess I don't think like it's okay to do that, but I have to just show my main points. In conclusion, um, people's okay choices are greatly affected by the prevalence of prev of of advertising of advertising. The eye-catching titles um, of these adverts are the reason. Okay. Um, fact that everyone these days has access to social media, um, the fact that everyone these days has access to social media, and that um, they have a um, hard to define impulse to buy. The fact that everyone these days has their, and that they uh, have a hard to define impulsive behavior proves that, okay, the fact that everyone these days has access to social media and that they have a hard to define impulsive behavior, um, impulsive, let's just say, and that some may have a okay. And by the way, depending um, on how strong my body paragraphs might be, I'm gonna change the order as well. That helps a lot. People's shopping choices are greatly affected by the prevalence of advertising. Um, by the prevalence of advertising. This is, in part, this is largely due to the fact that everyone these days has access to social media, and that some may have a hard to define impulse to purchase anything. Okay, I guess that's it. Now we can proofread and then try to, you know, correct some of our mistakes. It's believed that people these days, you see, reading out loud really helps, right? Like practice the skill. It is believed that people these days buy people, okay, like today, okay, or these days, buy certain products not because they need them, uh, but because advertising, um, okay, not because they need them, but because of different adverts. Okay, so not because of, or let's just not out of necessity, necessity, but because of different adverts. In fact, I also think that advertising is responsible for this trend. Um, I also believe, I guess there's nothing wrong with repeating the word believe. In fact, I also believe advertising is responsible for this trend um, for several reasons. Okay, the primary reason why people now okay, so the primary reason why people increasingly purchase consumer goods with the help of advertising. I guess it's better thanks to advertising is the ubiquity of technology. In other words, almost everyone in the world has their smartphones at their disposal, which allows them to use any social networking app there is. There is. Um, it's common knowledge that these apps are filled with enticing ads that appear constantly, whether the users want this or not. Um, so this way, or this continuous uh, presence of different adverts uh, grabs the attention of grabs um, can grab anyone's attention, eventually prompting them to buy their products. This all happens without the potential buyer's um, consciousness, right? Uh, without the without the potential buyers noticing or consciousness, because these ads are too prominent to be ignored. Thus, it stands to reason that marketing can have a powerful effect on the customer's minds. Another reason has to do with people's own personality. Everyone tends to have an impulse to buy a product of their choice because this is ingrained in their personality. For example, I tend to buy many accessories such as a pair of Bluetooth headphones that I never uh, never had the opportunity to use, simply because I crave for them, not necessarily because I need them. This suggests that people usually cannot resist an advertisement that satisfies their needs to fulfill um, their craving. In conclusion, people, I guess, like usually cannot resist that satisfies their craving. I guess that's better. In conclusion, people's shopping choices are greatly affected by the prevalence of advertising, which is largely due to, okay, this is prevalence of advertising. This is largely due to the fact that everyone these days uh, has access to social media, and that some may have a hard to define impulse to purchase anything. Okay, okay, I guess that's yeah, that would do. How many words are there? 264. Right on money. That's really good. I guess this essay would probably get 7, and we'll see about that. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching this video, and make sure you download the PDF, right? I'll probably leave the link to the PDF in the descriptions below, so you can find that on my Telegram, and probably highlight some of the words, right? So, or maybe yeah, I may even do that and explain like why this essay would deserve 7 or higher. Now, yeah, wait for the next videos, and bye bye.